Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Andy Decodes, the 12th Dimension. Sit back and enjoy as we dive deeper down into the rabbit hole.
Hello, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to 12th Dimension. My guests today are Nathanial Gillis and Heidi Hollis. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
This is going to be very interesting tonight. So for those that don't know, you two are really good friends.
Yes.
Yeah, we are
You've known
tight.
each other
That's
for a long time.
That's my sister from another mister.
Heck yes.
Perfect.
And you didn't know this, that we're good
That's
friends.
hilarious.
That is.
Nathaniel told me, was it when you was on last? I think you mentioned that you said like you like all of Heidi's work, but didn't realise
I love it.
you were buddies. So
I'm glad it worked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could have been the other way around, and that would have been
But we were saying
funny,
that,
but not good.
Right.
Yeah.
Could have hated each other and then
No.
that'd have been a different show.
No. Love this man. He's awesome. Hard worker.
Likewise.
Yes, he is. Both of you are. So thank you for coming on again. Where should we start? What do you wanna where do you wanna go?
Oh Lord, boy, he just gave that to us.
I'm not gonna make it easy.
This world is so big, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, there's so much. There's so much.
Right. I've got a question. I was just before you joined us in the chat before we went live, I was chatting to Nathaniel. Now I've just finished listening to the book Secrets of the Pentagon, and in the last couple of chapters, they mentioned that there's a certain percentage of, I think it's 2007 to 2020 or thereabouts, that there's a lot of UFO sightings that have had shadow people encounters at the same time. Yep. What's your take on that? Is that something that you've researched?
You're speaking to me, I take it.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
From the start, I had a UFO discussion group for 15 years.
Yeah.
So I always came at this as having a connection to UFOs and aliens. So I don't know why it seems like new news to people. I've been talking about this for a couple of decades now.
Yeah.
About them being one and the same. They're very connected, and that these alien beings are absolutely being orchestrated by this darker force. A lot of these beings are the ones that are abducting and wreaking havoc and not taking no for an answer. Those are negative and demonic like entities. And what's their connective force? People are like, there's praying mantis, there's reptilians, there's grays. What connects them? These shadow beings do.
Yeah.
And but then there's another force that you don't hear of as much because they speak of God and watch out for those abducting types, and they don't interfere with people, but they try to influence something positive. So there's literally, my first book is called The Secret War because of this conflict in contact that's going on out there. And people are not they're not paying attention. They just think everything's love and light out there in the universe when it's not. These beings are, I've been involved in this field for so long, and people will be sitting there in these UFO groups and alien abduction groups, and I watch these people sleep with guns under their pillows, right? And watch the shift go where they're like, hold on, I'm chosen, I'm special, I'm not so bad. And I'm like, hold on, you slept with a gun under your pillow to kumbaya with these beings. So, what happened? These are the same beings that they change up? No, I don't, it's like, what's that, Stockholm syndrome for some, and others just, trying to do their best to deal with what they've been dealing with. So I can't knock them, but also it worries me because we're losing a lot of people to these things, because if you don't get rid of them in this lifetime, people have near-death experiences, and who do they see at the end of their tunnel? Aliens and shadow people, the same ones that were violating them here. So they need to sprinkle some Jesus on it, and I'm not afraid to say that because it works, and I've been saying it for a long time. So that's why me and Nathaniel get along so great.
I was just about to say, I'm her amen corner over here. I mean, Heidi and I have talked about this specific subject and the various interconnectivities of the phenomenon, and both of us were frustrated at one point because there are people that want to paint these beings as lovers and light, right? It's, oh my God. And even to the point where I won't go into detail about what we've talked about, but there have actually been big time figures in the field who they'll go on panels and they'll tell everybody, hey, listen, they're not a threat to us. And then they'll go home and lock their doors because they know, right, the raw data speaks for itself. But I echo her sentiment, and I have the same mindset that we have to be loyal to the data, and we have to hear all of the abduction accounts and not just the ones that fancy our ear and gets us on shows.
Yeah.
Oops.
Did you just say that? It's true. And it's like, and I try to take the stance of like, I don't want to knock people for what they believe to be true for themselves, but they are pushing an agenda that I've had people reach out to me after they open up their lives to these beings only to suddenly get abducted and violated in horrible ways. And because they thought it was all positive. And, speak to Nick Redfern. I mean, gosh, I wish I could remember which book it was of his that he said people within the government, the United States government, reached out to a priest because some of the things that they were dealing with aliens, they started getting like demonic attacks. So
I think that was I think I have it right here. Final Events, Secret Government Group on Demonic UFOs and Afterlife. By the way, incredible book. It's obviously you know this, Heidi, that it's frowned upon within some people in the field because it's too religious and stuff. It's like, well, you know what? There's a religious tint to this. I mean, when you have entities that are abducting you and telling you they're angels, or quoting the words of Jesus or something, there's always going to be some kind of religious motif involved. And it's not because we're projecting it upon the research. It's just there. It's just there.
Yeah.
So do you think?
I'm sorry.
Go on.
I was just going to say, Nathaniel, he is a Bible thumper. He's good at it. I'm not, So I'm not a Bible thumper, and I always say faith, God, Jesus. I don't necessarily belong to a church any longer, but I was raised Christian, and I'm very Christian. But it's like, and I try not to cram it down people's throats, but it's logical. I had encounters with beings who spoke of Jesus. that's not popular, so that doesn't get you on the shows to talk about it.
Right.
Perfect example was I'll just say it was Steven Spielberg's special he did once. And because I spoke of these positive beings that speak of God and whatnot, I wasn't put into the main episode. But I had to speak my truth about it. I'm like, no, I've never been abducted, but there's these beings that warn about the abducting ones, and they didn't like it. So.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you think that the ones that talk about Jesus and religion and Christianity and that, are they doing that to trick you, to try and get you, befriend you? Or do you think they're being genuine?
Well, if they were wrong, they were the ones that gave me insight on the shadow people and the Hat Man phenomenon. And that has become a worldwide phenomenon. And they respect and acknowledge the name of Christ and told me I didn't pray enough. I said, well, and I was a college kid.
Wait a minute, what? Come on now, Heidi, you're like, wait a minute, what?
I was a college kid, like, what is going on here? And my college roommate, she's Pentecostal, super religious, and long hair, never cut it, and the big skirts and all that, and she and I were having these encounters with this really positive group of beings that was like, they weren't there to just spill out answers. We had to know to ask the right questions, and then we got answers, and it blew the lid off from everything I thought. I thought these beings, the abducting types, made us forget to be kind to us, forget what was happening. I haven't been abducted, but to people. And I thought that's what it was. Of course they're teaching lessons, and we don't always like our lessons in school, but this is a lesson. Well, I was wrong. I was wrong. And it was weird to watch people go through the motions of accepting the abuse. Like they were being, I hate to say, but conditioned like a predator.
There we go. There we go. Groomed almost.
Groomed. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a horrible word. It really is, because of the implications. I'll tell you what's so funny to me, and it's alarming as it is humorous, is when the negative entities abduct people and they call on Jesus, and they'll almost measure this individual's literacy. Like I had one case where Jesus appeared, but it wasn't the historical Jesus. Like they had literally like, what do you believe he is? Oh, okay, I'll be that, right? It wasn't the first century rabbi. And what's so funny to me is like, okay, would they have done that to the late Michael Heiser, the Hebrew scholar? Because they can't trick him. He'd have been like, wait a minute. And it's so weird because even the doctrine that some of these beings that, the negative ones that they claim to have, right, like Ra as God. And Heidi and I've talked about this too in depth. Why would Jesus teach people Ra as God? Right? It goes against his entire historical ministry and his teachings. And so I think this is why we have to test the spirits.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're starting to find out quickly. How do we test them?
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Well, that was my next question. How would you do it?
Oh, I'm throwing that over to Nathaniel. That's him. All day.
Well, I mean, a lot of these things, first of all, I make no bones about it. I'm not into channeling. I'm not into, and this is just me, my personal convictions. My guides told me this, and I know a lot of people in the field, and I have friends that believe in that. I just know that these beings, like Heidi said, I mean, they'll be waiting at the end of the tunnel for you. Hey, I'm your guide. Ted Rice was supposedly being led by the hand by his late mother for 26 years. That was his guide until she, allegedly, told him to do something that was against her religious creed and life. And so it's almost like you have to take what they are wanting you to believe they are, dear Aunt Edna, Uncle Timmy, you know what I mean? And then say, okay, is what I'm seeing matching who they were in life? Because if it isn't, right, it's just them bringing what's called an ahistorical person there, and it just doesn't make any sense. That's one way. I mean, it's like one of the famous abductee, I won't mention his name, but he's going around telling people that now he has permission to go into churches and lay hands on people. But his doctrine that he claims is biblical is not biblical. It originated in the mind of some entity out there. And so it's at that point that we have to test the spirits and realize, hey, this is a deception.
Yeah. There's a lot of deception out there. And I used to hear from people, because I've been talking about, tell these negative beings in Jesus' name leave, and they'd leave, and there's a lot of people saying, oh no, that's not true, they're still able to abduct you. I'm like, no. Why did these so-called aliens recognize that name and all across the universe? What is that?
Right.
And I try to be rather logical about all of this stuff, because I know what it sounds like. I mean, it was so difficult being the person to like put two phenomena out there to the world that nobody had ever heard of, shadow people and Hat Man. And I got, oh my God, what's this little girl talking about? That's from, what'd they tell me? Oh, not Babylon 5, I think it was something. They're like, that's from Babylon 5. I'm like, look, I'm telling you what I experienced. And these beings showed up to say, hey, those are real. These things are taking over, and they've been doing this for a long time. And, Earth is next. And it's going to get to a crazy level. And little did I know how bad it would get. Now, it gets even weirder, okay? Because I was experiencing so much stuff. And I'd seen angelic beings. I'd seen alien beings. I'd not been abducted. And I was raised Christian, but I got to a point where I was like, maybe Jesus was just a historical figure. Sure, he's going to come back one day. I just kind of had that attitude. And I became skeptical of crazy people saying they see Jesus in a piece of toast to a tree trunk. So I was just done. I was like, oh my gosh, these people are obviously mistaken saying that they saw Jesus. And here I am, skeptical college kid. And I took great pride picking on my friends that went to church on Sundays. Let me tell you, though I was still Christian, and I had an encounter with him before I put out my first book, and it changed everything. And guess what he told me with the first encounter I had with him? Told me I need to finish writing my book, the one on shadow people and this conflict between these beings. And, I tell people I could have been blind and seen it was him. And my friends all could testify to, Heidi picked on us for going to church. And I was like going around saying, Jesus is no joke, you guys. He's for real. And that's why I called my book Jesus is No Joke, because it changed everything. So,
yeah. Can I just ask a quick question? I'm not trying to be horrible or anything, but do you know 100% that it was Jesus?
For myself, I do.
Yeah.
And it's not just the one experience I had. I had several.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said you've had a few, haven't you?
And he healed me several times. That's unexplainable. So,
right, okay.
Yeah, and taking the step forward to sprinkle some more Jesus in the world. I think it was him.
Yeah.
So,
it's very interesting, if I may. There is a higher power out there that has literally pulled people out of abductions, and that just came to me recently. This is incredible. Like, I had reread Dr. Carla Turner's book Taken, and I finished. Oh my God! I finished it in one day, and my head was spinning. Like, I was just like, oh my God! It was overload at one point. She talks about how she was being victimized by these beings, and then one day in her mind, she prayed to God, basically, and asked him for assistance. And he said, and this is incredible. Oh my God, I'm pumped about this. She goes into this nightmare in this dream at nighttime. She said this really bad nightmare. And these beings, these angels, allegedly, they had pulled her out of the dream. Pulled her out of the dream and put her down on a chair that was physical. She said they were like what Michael Heiser would call like the divine council. They were all in front of her. She could barely see who they were, what they looked like. But they replayed over and over and over again that passage in the Bible where Jacob and Esau, right? Jacob steals the birthright. And then they basically told her, this is what's happening to Earth. The Earth belongs to you as an inheritance, but there's a species out there that wants to take it from you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so it's brilliant. It's a fascinating concept. But there is something out there I'm learning that it's even more powerful, right? Because these beings they would induce, obviously we know the research, they would induce people into dream states. They would have nightmares, but it's actually an abduction encounter. These beings were like, that ain't nothing. Put her in a nightmare. We'll pull her out of it. I was like, yes, you know what I mean? But I think it's fascinating.
It is. It is. There's so much. So much.
Yeah. So I've not heard that about being pulled out from them. Never heard that
That's
before.
the first time I heard it.
First time anyone's ever mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was at the very end of her book. And that's why it's beneficial to read it until the very end, because I would have missed it. You know what I mean? I'd have thrown it away like, oh, whatever. No. Before she died, she talked about that, how there is a power. Now, this gets back into something that I don't think Heidi and I have ever talked about. There's a good researcher. I think I've told Andy about this. I'll tell you after the show, Heidi. But he's huge in the UK, very big, very big. And he told me that after visiting the Vatican and talking to their researchers, that he was told behind closed doors that while the main Christian world believes that the battle in heaven has already been won, they allegedly told him that the battle is still being waged between these spiritual forces, and that mankind is sitting there in the middle of it, which is a very interesting hypothesis.
Yeah. That is kind of along the lines of what these beings told me in regards to the static that's between these various entities. And there's a dark source, there's a light source. Of course, one is God, one is Satan, right. Devil, whatever it is. And, we just have different names for it here, but it's one and the same. And when the dark source can make itself look like the positive guys, or it's like they're doing it to deceive. So it's like there's so many people that'll say, oh, I had this wonderful experience with these aliens and da 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 da. It's like, oh, great. Next time, same beings, they look the same. They're like, they violated me. They did horrible things. It's like, well, the dark ones can make themselves look like anything they want, and the more positive ones usually don't come and try to grab people. They try to influence them more positive, like something inspiring. But my understanding, and this is something again with this being that my friend and I had experience, it's all about it's kind of like an inspirational like type thing versus I'm gonna grab you and shake you up and say do something, and because not to interfere, like there's this rule to not interfere, and these darker beings are violating that understanding not to interfere. If you want something to thrive in any environment, you don't go and pluck it out and try to manipulate it. You leave it alone, and try to protect that area and hope that they evolve for themselves. But we're not doing so good. So they got to influence and pray and like, hey, maybe you should take a right instead of a left. So
that's funny. Yeah. We're not doing too good at all, my friend. We need all the divine providence we can get. It's interesting. And this is just, I don't think I've told you guys this before. I know I haven't told Heidi, and maybe I've talked about it on your show. I don't remember. But there was a time when I tried to communicate with the phenomenon. It wasn't like an incantation, obviously. Those who know me know that's impossible for me to do. I don't do that. But it was more of like just a conscious awareness and a conscious olive branch, if you will. And that night I had a dream. Maybe it's an abduction, I don't know. But I was in this ship. And there were people in line. And matter of fact, before I was in the ship, I was downstairs in the basement, and I was watching this orb go down, like float down the stairs, and it cornered this one individual, and this guy was literally shaking in fear, trembling in fear. And what it was doing, it was almost like translating people. He would go into the orb, and then he would be in this room again. And I remember being in that room, watching him almost to the point of defecating himself. Like he was absolutely traumatized. And there was a line. There was a young woman behind me, and she was just watching everything. It was very strange, the whole ordeal.
I just saw an orb on your camera.
That's what I heard.
I seen that.
I just saw it.
It was
great.
It was quite large.
Yeah, it was large. It went right past you. Nathaniel.
I was hoping you'd seen it as well.
If I disappear, you know what happened.
I was like, talking about an orb, and there goes one right past your camera.
Yeah, it's gives me the heebie-jeebies. But it was so interesting because the weirdest thing about it was they kept telling me to focus. I saw people trying, like working with symbols and trying to manipulate symbols on a wall and different stuff, different things. Rather, anyways, the girl that was behind me, I told her about this pandemic we were having. Very weird. I said, I said, it's wiping out a lot of people. And she told me, she said, yeah, that happened on my mother's planet. I'm not suggesting anything. It's just weird. It's just a dream, but it's very strange because I've never had any dream like this before. And yeah, that happened on my mother's planet. And I understand it's really awful. And then an elderly man walked over to her and started talking about me. How's he doing? And she said, he's doing okay. He just needs to focus more. If he focuses more, he'll understand. Yeah. And it was very weird. So I don't know what to think of that, but I do know that a lot of abductions occur during the dream state. So who knows?
Well, it sounds like you got a little sneak peek at something.
Yeah,
definitely.
I should have asked him for some money. You know what I mean? Boy, hey, Michelle. Hey, Michelle, come here. Give me like $100 grand from research. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Right, I've got a question for you both, but then I've got some images that I want to show you as well. So, the question is, with what's happening to us on our planet, do you think the same or something similar could be happening to other human type people, creatures, whatever you want to call them?
That's what they told me, that the shadow beings, this is not the first planet they've done this to. This is just the next in line. So the darkness is enveloping other places. And they told me how they do that. You could get two souls for one punch. You possess both of them to attack each other. So you influence them poorly. So we are talking about possessed alien beings from other places. Right. They've been conquered. So that's something.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant, but that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, from the start. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, thank you.
Absolutely.
Right. So I got these got sent to me a while ago, but I swapped my computers over and I didn't know if I'd sent everything from the old PC to the new one. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I found them in a file that was a file and a file and a file. Right. So this is from, so it's one of the guys who comes in the chat. I'm not sure if he's in tonight. He sent me a few more, but these are ones. So this is a picture of an orb, but it's what's behind it. Now he's used different filters and changed the coloring in it to try and enhance what's in the picture. Mm-hmm. I just want to see what your take is on these. So I've got 5 in total.
Only if you could do a side-by-side with the orb that went past Nathaniel.
Oh, God.
Well, do you know what? It's not much different.
My orb was probably a chicken wing. I don't know. He's over here like...
That was weird. It was weird. Right.
So here we go. Here's the first one.
Oh.
So that's not very clear. But then this next one.
That's wild.
Now, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I can see something more than an orb.
The inner workings of the orb you're talking about?
Look, behind the orb.
Oh, behind. Oh, Hat Man, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
So these...
Check that out.
That's wild.
So these give me goosebumps every time I look at them. Now, this last one's in black and white. So I always think black and white, you have a much deeper contrast when you're looking at a picture.
Potentially him. Oh, yeah. Potentially him. I've seen really clear video of him, mind you, moving very quickly.
Yeah.
Very distinctive. Yeah. What do you think, Nathaniel?
That one right there is that's the most intriguing picture I've seen tonight. I mean, that one right there. Well, this gets back into the theory that a lot of these beings do travel in orbs. You know, Dr. Barry Taft saw half of a full apparition appear to him at San Pedro haunting. Chris Bledsoe has witnessed beings crawl out of these orbs in his house. So this is not surprising that, hey, if it is the Hat Man traveling in an orb, it would follow suit with some of the other information we've gathered.
Yeah, well, I've just been told these pictures are from, the person is in the chat. These pictures are from 2013.
Wow.
So they are. I didn't realize when I was looking at them first didn't even think about the shadow behind it. I was more intrigued with the orb, the size of it,
Mhm.
and the different filters. And then it was last week, I noticed what looked like the Hat Man behind it.
Yeah, that's definitely
I
a
think so.
possibility. Yeah, he's been picking up, just as I was told. I wrote the book on these beings in 1997. So,
Yeah.
and I was told, it's going to get to a really crazy level, and things would start shifting. And there's more to the story that I hope to share more sooner than later, because it's picking up. Yeah.
It is.
Sorry, I've just been told on the original you can only see the orb, and that's why they use the filters on it. But it first started showing up in 2008. So
With the orb,
Very interesting.
the orb, that shadow Hat Man
there.
thing.
Oh, okay.
But
That was. I'm sorry.
Have you noticed this? This is something that just came into my mind real quick. I don't know if it's true with the Hat Man, but I've had cases where like the entity has his own schedule, where like only in the month of November or something, or April, it'll show up at a specific house and manifest there and then leave. Is that a possibility regarding the Hat Man? I mean, does he have his own thing going on?
I knew somebody at seasons that
Yeah.
have it'd be certain seasons, of course, locations. Every, like once a year they knew to anticipate a visit, but it would change. So yeah, there did seem to be like sometimes schedules like that. And of course around death and illness, so.
Well, yeah, I'm going to put this out as a person that sent them to me. It's Alien Woods. So this is a statement. He threatened my family, and 2 years later, my partner was dead.
Ugh, that breaks my heart. I'm sorry.
It's awful, isn't it?
It is. And it's like when he threatens, honestly, I don't know about you, Nathaniel. It's like, but I don't feed into his power. I'm just like, well, I'll just bless my home and put up my dukes and stand my ground, because he tries to weaken people to feel like, oh no, he's going to get me. Well, he hates my guts personally. And people always ask, how do I sleep? And I said, usually on my left side.
I love that about you, Heidi.
Because I'm good.
I agree. This idea of fear seems to be that he shares that kind of victimology and pathology with other negative beings, where it's like, okay, do you fear me? I'll project fear onto you and then see if I can get my hooks into you, and then I just grow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've learned as well with Heidi. And if there's something negative,
yeah,
I'm watching Frasier. You know what I mean? I don't have time for that, man. I'm hanging out with my buddy Niles and Frasier Crane, so y'all can just do your own thing.
It's so true. Oh, and what ticks this thing off is humor. It really does. Joy.
Yeah.
Even having a light on, it just doesn't like it, because it represents, and it is of God when it's positive. Anything. So he doesn't like it.
No, this is to you, Heidi. I've probably asked you this before, but I can't remember what you said. So the shadow people that he brings along, are they spirits that have passed? Are they different?
They've never been
different
people.
realms.
No, these have never been people. I gave them that name just to kind of like, because it kind of looked like a person, but it really doesn't. It's like a man's head, almost really thick head, directly connected to shoulders. You won't see feet. You won't see a hood, and it can shapeshift. So, but the shadow people, you don't always see Hat Man with them, but they are kind of a minion of him, and and they're not really talkative. The shadow people, they growl, they whisper, they pin people down. If they're spotted, they might charge you up. So I always say, don't go in their direction. If they're going one way, leave them. I don't confront them. I don't run from them either, though. So
just don't show any fear, basically.
Stand your ground and say prayers, because it's not like we're I don't feel confident I could take them on alone. No, I
No.
have to have God and Jesus, going with me, because I'm not going in without them. No, I'm
That's
not.
Yeah,
dangerous.
You're not going
It
on your
really
own.
is.
No.
It's really dangerous. Like I tell you what's weird. It's really funny too, because I've been in this field for a little bit, nowhere near as long as my distinguished friend Heidi. I say I'm saying that with all conviction. I love her to death.
Yeah.
But I was at a bookstore, half price books. We have those in the States, and I was with my best friend one time, and we're in the paranormal section, and he has no inkling, like he has no desire about to study this field or anything. He goes, you know what? He goes, when I was a kid, I stayed the night at my friend's house, and he said I woke up to a shadow person hiding in the corner. He had a hat on,
Oh,
and he just stared at us. And he said his friend Thomas woke up for some unknown reason. They both just looked at this being, and this being staring at him. He said, so the next morning they woke the mother up and told her what had happened the night before. And they went into the garage, and there were muddy boot prints.
wow.
Very unique, very unique. And so, I mean, yeah, it has to be interdimensional, right? I mean, if you could walk through walls and materialize with boots on,
Yeah, that's
not
the
cool.
difference. That's the difference with him. He can absolutely become physical, and I've had him, punch people, throw them across the room, bite, scratch, horrible stuff. So yeah, that's crazy. This is a little funny one for you, Nathaniel and Andy. That I had this guy that who said every night he had a twin brother and they had bunk beds, and he's like, every night I'd see this guy in the closet reaching for a hat that they had on this little hook thing, and it would just freak the kid out. And he's like, oh my gosh, he's like, and then one night he stepped far enough out of the closet with the glowing red eyes and grabbed the hat, and it was a replica of Freddy Krueger's hat, and they never saw that hat again.
That's so wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Replica of Freddy Krueger's hat.
I bet somebody else saw that hat again. You
Right?
know what I mean? Yeah. It's a wild phenomenon. That's why only one of the reasons why I love Heidi's research. It's so in depth and it's relevant. It's germane to the conversation. You know what I mean? And these beings exist. I'm also reminded of Father Malachi Martin. He was in the middle of a possession case. He was trying to get rid of this entity. And he's in his office and he's on this stepladder, reaching for a book, and one of these shadow figures ran by and kicked the stepladder from underneath him.
Wow.
And I think that one of the issues that I have with the field, I'm sure Heidi agrees with me again, is that we have experiencers that will try to tell their stories. Hey, this is what I have. Like people want them included in a documentary, and they come out and okay. I've had them reach out to me myself. They were all gun low until I told them my encounter, and then because it did not fit the narrative that some of these higher up people want to push.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. So true. It's so true. If it doesn't fit, it's absolutely insane.
You have to ask yourself, though, like,
yeah. Okay.
Sorry. It's almost like you have to ask yourself who's really framing this narrative.
Oh yes, yes. I mean, they even downplay. Being a woman in this field, it's not been easy, and being a brown woman in this field, 1,000 times worse. I've done shows where it's like, I reached out. I won't name the show, to create an episode on Shadow People Hat Man, and I don't fit the face and I don't have the name for this phenomenon. Like, such a dark thing. All of a sudden, there's two other guys on there I've never heard of before, repeating lines that I said, and
that would tick me off.
And fed to them to say it as if they're the genius. And I'm like, and I was just seen as somebody that will help people who have been met with these phenomena, but I'm not the expert. Literally
not the researcher.
Trademarked these things and introduced it to the world. It's like, and then I had another show where I was on there, and they asked me, well, how many of these reports have you had of Shadow People Hat Man? I'm like, thousands. They dubbed me and said, Miss Hollis has seen dozens and dozens. I said, in a week? Dozens.
What? Yeah, right. Yeah, let's be real about this.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like I had like my dad was, he would fly in Hebrew scholars from Israel. One of them was a frequent researcher on one of these big programs that talk about, history, world history, and stuff like that. And we went out to lunch one day, and I just picked his brain. I said, "Oh, it was about the Dead Sea Scrolls, one of the episodes." I said, "So how was your experience?" He goes, "Well, I told it before I signed the contract. I'm only going to sign this contract if you publish exactly what I say word for word,
Hmm.
because a lot of them will just kind of cut and paste and just work it out."
Yep.
And just like Heidi said, and that's why what I've always been nervous about, where
Yeah.
I would, because we hang our reputations on our research. We
Yeah.
have deep convictions about our beliefs and what the data, tells us about the phenomenon. And the danger is us getting up there and saying, that we wanted to research something that's on the left side, and they say, oh, they wanted to research something that's on the right side.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what I mean? It's very interesting. But
Messed
yeah, we
up.
have to be. Yeah, it is. Because yeah. And it's not a big deal for people that are non-researchers because they don't care.
Mhm.
And if I may, like my buddy Paul St. Clair reached out to me one time and he was like, dude, he goes, aren't you afraid? He goes, but I don't see you lecturing at conferences. I said, I know. Me neither. He goes, but aren't you afraid that one of these older researchers, you can just steal your research and then just and do what they did to Heidi, right? Go up there and just say, oh, it's my stuff.
They do.
Regurgitate the pint-sized points that they stole from a much larger brain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's dangerous, man.
It
Oh.
is. It's like the conferences. I don't go to them as much either because the guy is being invited versus myself. I'm like, hold it, that's all my material, even my drawings. And I'm like, that's first off illegal because it's trademarked and copywritten. But
Yeah.
they just sidestep all of that. But yeah, it's like, oh, that's just one girl. But I literally have had so many producers reach out. Wow, you know so much, but we can't have a woman lead. Can you teach a guy everything you know? So instead of telling me that outright, I've had like a few tell me that. They will feed what I've said to them on camera to the guy that they have hiding in the wings and as a puppet. And now, he's the genius. He's getting a documentary done on his stuff. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep.
I was on a
So
Zoom
bad.
call. I was on a Zoom call not too long ago, guys, and one of our favorite shows that we mentioned, tonight's show. He was invited, flown out there. They pressed record. His job was to examine a cow.
Hmm.
Is there any supernatural events? When you see anything weird happen to this cow? No. It's predation. There's something here. It's just nature. It was killed by a predator. You can see the teeth marks. Oh, really? See ya. They flew with another researcher who, oh my God, there's something supernatural here. and it's just, you know what I mean? And it was so funny because on a Zoom call, they were all stressing again the necessity to stick to the data, not to manipulate it, not to doctor it. And I'll tell you another thing, this is just be ranting, but we have, again, getting back to the researchers that doctor the data. I've had people, specifically women, I've found them on Facebook, they'll comment on a post, hey, these beings did something to me. And then the researcher will outright tell them that's a lie. Never happened. And we're seeing it on both ends of it, but it's just a sign of the times, I suppose.
Yeah. It's true.
Right. I've just been sent a video and I've been asked for you to have a look and what your views are on it. So it's one from TikTok. It's called Haunting Me Part 5. I don't know if either of you have seen it. I've not been on TikTok for a while, so I've not.
Okay.
So it'll be a first for me as well. So if we show you this, then we can go for a break and give us your thoughts after the break.
Sure.
And then we'll do some questions. Is that okay?
It's fun, yeah.
Cool. Right. I'm just going to share screen because it'll be easier. Here we go.
What did you just move?
Oh. Poor guy. Oh. Oh, it's coming up the stairs. Oh, that's disturbing.
Yeah. Do you want to watch? Do you want to watch it again, or it's up to you guys if you want to watch it a second time?
I don't know what to say about that. I mean,
Yeah.
the door's opening, poltergeist activity. The game changes when they start calling you by name. If that happens, you got a problem.
What gets me with this? The third. Sorry. That's right. Go on.
Oh, well, if you look at it, how it's coming up the stairs, it's like taking steps up the stair. It's has that motion of somebody walking up the stairs.
Yes.
So it makes me think that's more of a ghost than a shadow being because of that. Because the shadow beings don't need to use
the third
steps.
time it comes up.
Yeah.
No. It seems to see how it grows.
It did.
It doubles in size on that last bit.
That did it, and you saw the head and shoulder part, like that kind of looks like the head and shoulder type of shadow, I call them. But it's weird because of he was using steps, but then he did grow at the end. You're right.
It's reminiscent of.
But it seems to like
video.
Obviously it's going up the steps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going up the steps, so it's going to get taller, obviously, as it goes up each step. But it goes up one step, and then it just seems to
grow.
Like the size scale seems to double.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But see, that's a thin head too, right there. That looked like a person's head. The poor guy, it just palms his face. Like,
but this bit now,
casting a shadow. You see, it's casting a shadow. But then at the end, it looked kind of head and shoulder. But I don't know. But yeah, it was casting a shadow.
It just, it was strange. Whatever it was, I don't know.
That's horrific.
But yeah, right. I'll leave you to think about that. We'll go for a break, and then we'll be back in 5 minutes. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Perfect. See you then.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And we are back. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so what do you guys think of the video? Do you think it's real? CGI? Tough one to call.
Go for it, Nathaniel.
I don't know. I mean, it did kind of look a little bit weird to me. I just kept seeing the guy disappear. That was, you know what I mean, running back and all of a sudden, I don't know. I don't know. Here's the problem that we face. I mean, even if paranormal phenomenon was captured in real time, people would say things. That ain't real. That ain't real. Can't be real. That ain't real. So I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
No,
people question their own eyeballs, even.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, they always think their eyes are playing tricks on them. And I'm like, hold it. Those are the same eyes that you use to go back and forth to work every day? I'm like, pretty sure that you can trust them then. Unless you have a stroke or MS or, you know, something medical happening.
Yeah. But when I've seen stuff, I always question, I suppose everyone, you always question yourself, did you really see it? Did you see what you think you saw and stuff like that? But then when you capture it on video, say it's not CGI and that is real, then you know what you've seen. You know what activity you've got going on. So you then can't doubt it if you know it's not CGI.
Oh, right. It's kind of like your question about how do I know it was Jesus? I trust myself.
Yeah.
I trust my gut. I think we all have it for a reason.
Definitely.
I don't, you know, I guess that comes with more experience with dealing with odd things too, though, because I get it when people get their reality shaken up. It's hard for them to accept.
Yeah. No, thank you. Appreciate it. Right, we have got some questions. I'll just go through them in order that they came in. Is that okay? Right, so this is the first one from James Gordon. Are shadow people technology, Heidi?
I don't think they're technology. They're a spiritual, interdimensional type of being. And I don't put Hat Man in the category of shadow people, by the way. In the beginning, when I first introduced Hat Man, I called him Hat Man Shadow. So that's how that got kind of confused to be a shadow being. But when I put his image on my website, that's when the whole narrative changed. And I mean, thousands of emails and the pattern of him being a solid entity, walking, talking, moving, biting, raping, assaulting. And people would always ask me this question, who is he? He's the devil, isn't he? Like they would answer their own question. I was like, wow. So he's not a technology, but he's not human. He's never been human, but he is, he doesn't look human at all when you get a good look at him, because some people have had a good look at him, and it's been wild to hear over the years.
No, thank you. Right, Nathaniel? I know that question was to Heidi. I was just wondering if you'd agreed.
I agree with her, absolutely. I mean, yeah, technology wearing boots makes perfect sense to me, you know what I mean? Oh, it's a robot that, you know, he just loves those working boots.
There might be them new AI boots.
Yeah, he's just a big fan of hats, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You never know.
Technology, right? Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
Right. Next question is from Nellie Kelly. She would like to know, what are the guests' thoughts on the Vegas UFO sighting over the last few days?
Over to Nathaniel first.
All right. I'll be the first to tell you. I'm skeptical. Like right now, they went completely dark. They're not answering any phone calls, anything like that. Now, I'm conflicted. I mean, obviously, nobody wants to show up and say, "Hey, I saw these 8-foot tall, 10-foot tall beings in my backyard." I mean, who wants to do that and get? You know, it's not like these people want notoriety or something. I don't know. But they obviously caught something on the police cam. I think it was the dash cam of a police car, they call it something flying in the sky, and then you do have experiencers that come forward and say, we witnessed these beings. I would reserve my judgment, but I am skeptical. I would need to see more evidence to convince me, personally.
Yep. Well, thank you.
Back in the day, the government would have swooped in and told everybody to shut up or lose everything. So
No doubt.
it's like, oops, we got technology now where people can make those phone calls, and the news picked it up. My understanding, they researched them, investigated it for several weeks before they reported on it. And I don't think they jumped the gun on it, but I think it's really interesting how those police officers walk into their backyard and oh, they redacted the film. Oh, it's private property. I'm like, over here in the United States, we watch police running in people's backyards, beating them up. They don't cut off the footage. So
same here.
So it's a bunch of it's weird. I'm sure the family has been gotten to. Back in the day, they would also offer money, to shut people up. Threats if threats didn't work. And they had like some teenagers there. They live on their phones. Nobody videotaped these creatures or took photos. I bet they did. Did. And it's just been hushed. And if there's no there, they sure wouldn't have gotten the attention. I don't know. Something's up. It's just they seem sincere, but again, we always have to question. I mean, we do, but I think our government's like, hold on, we're supposed to be the ones in control of putting out information. Nobody else. All of us ex CIA, all of us ex government. You ain't ex nothing. They live and breathe this stuff. My dad was one of them, so he kept it close to his chin. Even dementia didn't get him to speak of it. On the other side, guess what? He is not speaking of it. One of my good friends is a top psychic, and she's like, I've never been met with a spirit that's so button-lipped. I'm like, dang, wow. So yeah, I don't trust much when it comes to if our government got in there.
Yep. Thank you. Next question is from the Sober Carper. He would like to know, when Heidi saw Jesus, what did he look like? Was it as he's depicted in today's pictures?
The several times that I saw him, he was darker skinned than I've seen in the past, and images, paintings. And I couldn't see his face. It's so weird. It's like I know on some of the occasions I was right near his face, and I can't tell you what he looks like. But I was close enough once. I saw his eyes, and they had like a glowing blue, like the sky. But I knew when looking at him, it's so strange. I had an understanding that wasn't the color of his eyes here. He had shoulder length hair. And there was such brightness coming from behind him. It shadowed his face completely. Another time I saw his lips moving, talking. So I should have been able to see his face, right? I don't know his face. So, but yeah, it literally off-white robe, like kind of, I don't know. It's not pure white. It's little, I don't know, almost like a little dated, robe.
Like a pearly, creamy color.
Like a creamy, but also not like smooth,
Right. Yeah.
It's like a canvas almost,
Oh, right. That's quite rough.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
This idea of not being able to see his face. I had a friend who, just to kind of back you up on this, Heidi.
Yeah.
This hidden face aspect of the meeting, it's very interesting. I had a friend of mine who he had sugar diabetes, had a leg amputated, and he called my dad in, which was his pastor at the time. So we're at the hospital, and he wanted to be prayed for by my dad, and my dad's praying for him. It's like, Derek, what was going on? Why am I here to pray for you? Obviously I'm praying for the situation, hope you get out of it, but what's really going on? And the guy started crying. He said, well, I had a dream last night. He said, I was on this sandy beach, and the water was so clear you could see all the way down to the ocean floor. And he said, I tripped and fell, and I turned around and I saw this being, this man on a white horse, white robe. He rode the horse all the way up to where Derek was, got off, and he said, every time I looked up, I couldn't see his face. I couldn't see his face. I was not allowed. And he said that he picked Derek up and carried him into the ocean and told him, I'm taking you to a better place.
Oh.
2 weeks later, he passed
Ooh.
away.
Wow. Oh, that gives me goosebumps.
Very interesting. Yeah.
That gives me goosebumps.
He was not allowed to see. Yeah.
Sounds like him. Sounds like him. You know how the background on Nathaniel's is right there, and it's kind of you see some light spots and some darker spots. That's kind of like how his robe was kind of like darker, off white, gray. It was just
Yeah. Well, the person that sent me them pictures for the Arbon Hat Man, they put a comment up saying when they seen him, he was darker skin when I saw him. I dare not look at him, but he told me all you have to do is try and make a difference. He was wearing a linen robe off white. Pretty much the same as what you said.
Wow. Oh, so he'd seen. Oh, okay. That's awesome. Ha. Yeah, that's amazing. You dare not look at him. I didn't think not to.
Did you try? Did you try and look at his face? Or was it just not an option?
It was natural to look where his face would be. I was looking in that area, but it's not like it was showed to me,
Right.
So
yeah,
it's kind of wild. And I'm contemplating if I should share something that happened after that, because it's just so bizarre. I had this guy that was taking photos for a collection. It was for a coffee table book.
Right. Okay.
That have seen strange ththings, right? And he wanted to come, and he took photographs for Rolling Stone magazine and all this stuff, and just a unique way of doing it. So he wanted to come and take photos of me for the shadow people topic, right? And I said, well, that's cool, but I was just about to put out my book on Jesus, and I really wanted to have more lighter topics because that's all people want to know about demons. I'm like, I want to sprinkle some Jesus on this. So if you're coming, we're going to take some photos highlighting Christ, because I've seen him too, and I just wanted to lighten things up. And he's like, okay, sure. So he came in from Australia and I got to do these photos and stuff. Did the shadow people one, go in the backyard. It's bright and sunny out, right? And he's got these big bright lights, and the sun is shining in my face, and I'm holding up 2 sticks like things for Christ,
Yeah.
I had a off-white like shirt, because I had a black shirt for the shadow people shoot, and I'm doing the one with the lighter shirt, So and he's taking tons of photos, with the professional camera, ting 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 ting, and then he just like. He's kind of low down, and he just kind of went on his knees. And he's like, I don't know what I just got here. And I was like, what? He's like, this makes no sense. And he shows me a string of all his photos, a whole bunch of them. He goes, but look at this one. Oh, it gives me goosebumps. You can see me completely lit up. But then you can see my hairline and everything all the way around.
Yeah.
But completely black shadowed. Exactly how I saw Christ. Exactly. There was no explanation for it. You could see my hair and everything.
Yeah.
And he said, I have no explanation for this. He's like, I've been taking photos of people across the world, and every so often I get something weird happening, but this is the weirdest. And I said, please give me a copy of this. Oh, I promise I will. He didn't. He didn't, because it wasn't feeding his agenda of a spooky coffee table book. And here's something, and I don't know if he believed the same as I am, Christian. So he did not share what might have been quite miraculous photo. I know he still got it. I asked him for years to send it, for years. And but yeah, it was exactly how I saw Christ. Saw his hairline and everything, completely shadowed face. So
that is amazing. That really is.
It was wild.
It's such a shame that you never got the photograph.
He's still around. I'm not going to give
Nathan,
up.
come on, let's go.
He's
we'll
in
go
New
and
York.
Find him.
We'll go
He's
find
in
him.
New York now. So I'm ready.
I'll be there in 8 hours.
Right?
Right. I'll give you an everything bagel, and I'm going.
Right.
Yeah.
crazy. I don't know.
Right.
But there's miracles of the light as well as these paranormal things going on
Yeah.
like that, if we pay attention more. But that doesn't get the numbers, I guess, as
No.
much.
Quick question for
That's
you,
true.
Heidi. Was it what the Hat Man that you seen before Christ?
Did I see him before?
Did you
No,
see the Hat? Or was it the other way around?
the other way around. Yeah,
How long after? Or what was the gap between the two?
years.
Or was it?
Yeah, so I hadn't seen Hatman. It was my college roommate that I mentioned, the Pentecostal, who woke up to Hatman being in her room, and I thought it was another form shadow people took because I was being inundated with them. They're all over.
Yeah.
I didn't see Hatman until I was just about to put the book out on him. Let me tell you, he was not happy. He showed up. I'm a therapist. Yeah. He showed up at my job. He went after my patients in front of everybody 2 days in a row.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
Yeah, and then the Slender Man attack, the attempted murder with the little girls, happened 15-minute drive from my family's home. 2 weeks within my publishing the Hatman.
That was the one in the woods, wasn't it?
Yes. So I took it as a direct message. It was in my neighborhood, 2 weeks. 2 weeks after I put it out. Yeah. So yeah, that's when he showed up. he was sweating it.
There was no messing about there, was there?
It's not a coincidence, I don't think so.
No. Well, thank you. A couple more questions, if that's okay. This is to both of you from Stockholm Pearls and Views. They would like to know, do shadow people want our energy?
Call it demons, and Nathaniel knows all that.
Parasitic. The shadow figure that I saw as a child was playing video games. And you know how when you're looking at a bright screen and you go from a bright screen to just complete darkness, your eyes have to adjust. And then my eyes adjusted to a featureless shadow being, and then it tilted its head. And that emanated fear. It was like, it was almost a fabricated fear. Like it was, do you feel this? Yes. Okay. Do you fear it?
Right.
And it was very interesting. And so it does come from, it's not just a shadow figure. There is an existential darkness about it. Right. It's there to feed sometimes. So I would say that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious. I got to ask Nathaniel, when it comes to I don't know. I mean, it's like demons in general. I mean, is that biblical that it's there to take your soul energy from you?
Yeah, to feed on fear, and it's not just the energy, but it's the attributes. That's a whole other show. There is also what's very interesting too. It's called ghost-born illnesses, and you see the change in exorcisms and how they approach these entities in the New Testament, where in order to heal the individual, you have to cast the entity out. In other words, this was their hypothesis. Was that the disease was attached to the invading ghost, and then when it possessed the person, whatever was attached to the ghost begins to be attached to the person themselves. And so that's why they would, even right now, like there's a guy named Jonathan Suber that I grew up listening. He would preach as a faith healer in my movement, and in order to heal people, he would cast the entity out. And when he did, that sickness and disease would follow it.
Oh.
So there is this existential, I forget what it's called. It's definitely an attachment connection, but I do believe it feeds on fear.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. We have another question from Alien Woods. Do you think he's part of the angelic hierarchy?
Oh, that is absolutely Nathaniel.
Oh my God! What are we talking about here? Who?
I'm guessing the Jesus guy.
He's the son of God. Yeah. I mean, yeah. But again, this gets into this idea of what an angel is. And What is an hierarchy? You cannot have hierarchy without doctrine. What's our policy? Who tells us what our policy is, right? If there's an hierarchy of beings, then there has to be a belief system employed. But getting back to what an angel is, what is an angel? We're dealing with a fallen angel. It's a paradox. What's fallen about an angel? What's angelic about the fallen? So we have to go back into biblical antiquity. And I don't want to get too deep in it, but understand what they're trying to articulate, right? What are these beings after? And I do believe that they have their own doctrine, they have their own belief system, and it does imply an hierarchy of beings. Shadow Man Hat Guy.
Yeah, not Jesus.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I don't know. That would be more along the lines of Heidi. I'll give it.
I don't know the angelic hierarchy. I have had people tell me, "Oh, he's my guardian angel." I'm like, "Why?" Well, he punched my abusive dad. Oh my gosh! So now you owe him because you were praising that action. You know, he's no friend. He's not a protector. He's not an angel. But I don't know if there's a darker angelic hierarchy. Do you? I don't know.
No.
What we're dealing with, I mean, if we're going to consider these beings are angelic or even fallen angels, we got a lot to wrestle with. I mean, even evangelical researchers right now in the field, like people that don't go to colleges, but they have their own, they go to churches, they're wrestling with this stuff too, because they're having to expand their blueprint of demonology and angelology to fit this phenomenon in. You know what I mean? And that's what I struggled with when I was in that haunting. Is I was going to my youth pastor, and hey, I saw a shadow person, and if it did not fit in their understanding of what angels or fallen angels are, you're crazy, you're lying, you made it up, it didn't happen, or it did happen, but you need to be in a mental asylum, you're just losing your mind. And so there's gaslighting going on, but we know it exists, and I think that at least I'm looking for pathologies. What does it believe in? What rules what rules, if any, are they playing by? Right? If we can understand what they have a fear of, we can understand what they have a faith in. And this gets back to Heidi's research. What about Jesus?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. You know what has kind of floored me over the years, Hat Man was Hat Man, but he was telling people he's the devil. But guess what? Now he's telling people his name is Hat Man. He's assumed the name I gave him. Yeah. And not until I was talking to somebody else about it, they're like, Heidi, there's power behind having named a demon. Well, I'm like, but he's the devil of
Yeah.
Kind of falling into that category of being the devil. And I'm like, to own the modern day devil name, I'm just trying to make my parents proud, but man, not that way,
Yeah.
I don't know what goes into that. Maybe I could cast them off the planet then, right? I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Well, do you think
That's
though
possible.
that now he's taken the name you give him, he's got a direct connection to you?
Yeah, but Nathaniel, how does that weigh on the person? I want to know, because you name a demon. I mean, is it he says he's the devil, but these evil things are liars. His actions kind of read like that, but I don't know.
Getting back to the various masks they wear, I mean, my God. See, a lot of times we are blinded by our vision. Right? It seems so obvious, and yet in many cases, Heidi mentioned something earlier. It's fascinating. This gets into Ray Fowler's research, where these beings can literally create a false near-death experience. And some of these victims of these kidnappings, not just abductions, but kidnappings, they've witnessed these beings with them. And you have to ask yourself, what is the end game? What is the end game? And this circles back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show tonight. There is something deeply spiritual at work. It's not, it's I hate to simplify to do good versus bad, because it's an oversimplification. But it's not like people that believe in the Bible are making this up. Like, these beings, there is something extremely apocalyptic occurring, and we are involved in it somehow.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, where do you think they're being taken? Because I had a couple of guests on in the past, over the past few weeks, and they've mentioned about a lot of the missing 411 being transported to Mars.
To Mars. Oh.
Yes. I don't know what your views are on that, but I'd say two of the people that have mentioned it are very. It is not something they'd make up with the way they do the YouTube channel and the way they go about the everyday stuff with paranormal and supernatural. Some of the stuff they taught I can't mention because it was off air, so I'm not going to repeat what they said to me. Not at the moment, anyway.
I don't know. I'd have to see who it is. I'm kidding. No,
I can tell you off air because you probably know him anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, again, I would have to know who said it because honestly, there's a lot of people, and again, I don't know who it is, so take this with a grain of salt.
I will.
But people are saying a lot of things. But if I know who said it, I can go, okay, he's doing good research or she's doing good research, and I can kind of get a better assessment.
He's gonna send it to
but
us.
where are they?
So if you go in the private chat, you'll. Private chat.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Well, I would look at the data. I mean, come on. I mean, let's look at this really. Let's just take this and see what we could do with it. Number one, these beings have, like I said, they have orchestrated near-death experiences that are not really near-death experiences. Brahma the Mage was visiting with a sorcerer who was ingesting these potions and going out of body, and this person was testifying to meeting deities and angels and demons and all this stuff. And when it comes down to it, the guy never left. He just stayed in the same position. He left his body. Right. Yeah. And so if we're looking at, I mean, do we have proof that there are people on Mars? I don't know. I think that for me, it would be personally, because of what I don't know about that, it would be a stretch. And even if they did say we're on Mars, I would say, okay, is this just another motif of deception?
Yeah.
We cannot trust them, right? That would be my humble opinion.
Yeah. But I just want to say the first name that I put in there, they actually got offered to go to Mars. They never didn't take up the offer.
Yeah.
Because I questioned them about how they was going to get there, and that person said, "Oh, the other people that were talking about it had something to do. They heard the name Ark, and that was pretty much it. They didn't want to delve any more than that because it was ARC, which I've heard mentioned a few times about different things.
I've heard that person's story about that, actually. Yeah. I can say, without saying who as well, I know personally was aware of trips like that. But and if you look at Super Soldier, I mean, if you've heard of super soldiers and they're talking about being pushed into another dimension to be able to go there and travel and fight a battle.
But the second person that I put in there, they told me that something had happened that a lot of people know about, but no one's come forward to confirm it, i.e. the agencies that run the countries, but they know. I can't say how they know because then it'll give away that person, but something crashed into one of the planets and it was from one of the other planets. That's all. I can't go any deeper than that.
Gotcha. Wow. It's wild.
Yep.
Nothing surprises me any longer.
No.
I mean, we got a UFO task force here, you know, this is like ordained by our government, and one of the guys working for them just whistle blew on him. I'm like, okay, hold on. You know, everybody was excited. It's like, oh, the government's finally talking about the UAPs and they got a task force. And I'm like, I think it's a bunch of BS because they're still government people. And hello, here we are, you know, and it's like, I didn't want to poo-poo it, but I couldn't help myself because they weren't telling us out of the kindness of their hearts. They're creating a task force. They have threatened,
Right.
beaten, destroyed people's lives, murdered them over this information for decades, and now they're just going to be sweet and kind. I don't buy it. And
Yeah.
here they're lying to their
Good
task
point.
force. Just so
Yeah.
sick of it.
Yeah, I think well, it's already known, it's already out there. I think Doty did so much damage to the field where it's like I don't know who I can trust anymore. You know what I mean? Even if you are telling me what I want to hear or don't want to hear or any, I just don't trust it. And sadly, that's where we are. You know what I mean? Not a good position to be in.
Yeah, it's so true.
No.
I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right. We've got 2 more questions before we finish. Is that okay? Because I know you guys, you need to get going soon. So you've left someone in a room somewhere, and Nathan's got to go and eat his steaks in a good food place at some point soon.
Man, his steaks look good. I swear. I'm like, where is he now?
Every time it pops up, Nathan steak, Nathaniel
Oh my
steak,
God.
Nathaniel steak. Sometimes
my
chicken
place
wings,
closed, man.
but mainly steak.
Oh no!
Ooh, I had chicken wings today. Yeah, it closed. They closed on me. I think I ate all their steaks, and now they're like, "We're out now, Nate." I'm like,
They've gone
"Sorry."
out. They've gone under.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
It cracked me up.
Right. Right. Next question is from Joanne. She'd like to know, how do the shadow people, Hatman, choose who to visit? Is there a connection to the person experiencing trauma, or could it be anyone at any time?
You know, in a lot of the stories that I've gotten, I find that they like to target people who are gifted the most, people that have a different kind of insight or perspective, because we're evolving, we're changing all the time, and spiritually evolving even. And it's like, to be able to pick up a phone and know Nathaniel's going to call me. I just have a feeling, boom, there he is, you know, or something like that. And it's like, so that's our soul, kind of our soul connections, I think, talking. And so these dark pieces of crap like to go, oh, we got one over here. Let's try to block that, you know, their ability to be able to connect like that, because we grow when and you know, love elevates, you know. So they try to target like that. But then there's also sickness, illness, depression, death. They're attracted to, but more than likely, I find they're attracted to the gifted people that are realizing their souls are more bigger and powerful than we are led to believe. So,
yep. Oh, thank you. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely, I do. So I had a case where a family had actually called me and reached out to me. They were a friend of my family, and it was during COVID, and so they were this husband and a wife were in the parking garage of a hospital. Their daughter, who was like maybe 24, 25, was in the emergency room with abdominal pain.
Yeah.
And so they called me. It was about 3 a.m, and I started praying. I said, God, show me what's going on. And all of a sudden, in the spirit world, I saw an apparition. I'm getting good to a point here. Okay, I'm not gonna ramble, I promise. But I saw this entity whose name was Dan. He smoked and he stunk like BO, and he had a mustache, and he was a rapist. And I told them, the family, when I said that, I said, this is who I see. Who is this? The mother started bawling. She said, that is the deceased, that's my daughter's deceased biological father.
Whoa.
The daughter that was in the hospital. I said, well, this is wild. This entity began to confess sins to me. And I don't think you've ever heard of this, Heidi. From me, I don't think you know this part. But and he told me that there was an attachment on his daughter, in that a few years prior, there was an entity that had orchestrated an assault on her, and that an entity had possessed this individual to do it, and had used the portal of trauma to manifest in this girl's life. And it was wild. The mom started to bawl. She was bawling her eyes out. And I said, right now I'm in your house. I said, I see the color of the carpet. There's a fireplace. There's a chair. There's a couch. I said, in about 2 or 3 weeks, I want you to sit her down and begin to explain to her what had happened to her. When they did that, I got a phone call that they actually set her down. She started crying herself and said that when she was in college, She went to a party, and she was new to that particular location at the house. Her friend had not gotten there yet, and so she arrives early. She goes upstairs to use the restroom. A man possessed drags her into the room, locks the door, and she said what happened after that was the worst part. She said my trauma was being used. She said I was going to bed at nighttime, and in my dreams, an entity would manifest to me who smelled just like the man who assaulted me.
Oh.
And so the entity itself had literally orchestrated a traumatic event in this woman's life and then used it to step in order to affect her. And man, I got chills right now.
Right.
And so what we did is we broke that thing on her over her life, broke it over her life. The trauma healed. And man, I don't know, I feel something. And suddenly that entity no longer had a portal. That door of trauma was closed.
Yeah.
And so the nightmares stopped. So there are entities that will literally create situations to afflict us and then use that as a mortal portal to enter into our world. Close the portal, heal the trauma. No more authority.
That's awesome.
Yep. Thank you. Right. Last question, if that's okay. So this is from Alien Woods again. What if in a higher / lower dimension that the sun is an inhabitable body?
Wouldn't that be something?
It'd be interesting. Be melted. I don't know. I would be able to bring my chicken wings there, but no, I don't know. I'm not making light of the question. Good question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. Well, interdimensionally speaking, it seems like these other planets, they look dead to us in this dimension, but obviously, well, according to some people, we're going there in these other dimensions. They're being put in these pressurized rooms and pushed into other realities and then sent off. So nothing surprises me. Hatman walks through walls and could grab your hat off your book. You know,
Right.
It's crazy. It's a crazy world, and I think it's a shame that we've not been allowed to be as aware as our governments are, because they've got infinite amount of money to be able to research these things. I was told by an experiencer that our government, we have these EVP, we're recording with a regular mic, right? Well, our government's created a special piece of equipment to hear even better the voices in between the layers. So what are they hearing? So limitless money to do this. I'm sure they're hearing all of this. So these different dimensions, like really good psychics that I've heard of in the past, I ask them, well, where are our loved ones? And you're saying that my mom's right here. And they say like they're about 3 feet off from our floor, our ground, they're right here walking among us in a different dimension. I'm like, wow, if we could only hear them. Well, I do know somebody that's invented one where they can listen and hear and record. And they did a session with me, and they said for the first time they heard alien, demonic, angelic all in one. And they kept saying, bless her, bless her. And it gives me chills, because it was wild to hear these voices coming through. So there's things we could hear on the in-between. So I think there's I think that everything's a possibility. I don't, God is limitless.
No doubt, my friend.
I want to do more shows with Nathaniel. Dude, where you been? Come on, let's do some more.
What's up? I know, right?
Go to the local chicken shop.
I've got
steakhouse. You'll
I
find
know,
it.
right? There'll be a chicken wing show.
Yeah, the chicken wing.
Yeah, right. Shake a leg.
Do you know?
Yeah, I listened to. I'm sorry.
So I was just going to say, I do another non-paranormal podcast called Flying Solo.
Let's do that.
I've not done it for
Absolutely.
a while. If you want to come on there and just talk about everyday stuff, both of you, if you want, you are more than welcome.
Hey, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'd love it. I'd love
it.
Yeah.
In search of a steakhouse, that's what he'll talk. We lost that one.
Yeah, right. Oh, I it's taking a while, but I need to break out, man. You know, it's so funny though. It'd be really fun because it would, you know what I mean? Talking paranormal in every show I've done, every show I've done, like hundreds of paranormal. You know, it kind of honestly, it's like okay, you know what I mean? Because that's not it's not who I am in the entirety. Obviously, you guys know that, but man, I've had a blast tonight. Yeah, no doubt.
It's like when
but,
when
I
go
love
out
you,
to,
Heidi, and I love you.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, I love you, Heidi. You're the best, and as well, Andy. We're buds, and I really enjoyed myself tonight.
Love you too, Nathaniel.
Thank you. No, I was just going to say, whenever we go out to functions and that, I always say to the missus, please don't tell anyone what I do.
Oh,
you know when you want a night off from and you just want to talk about normal stuff.
Yeah. It better not come out that Andy likes to order chicken nuggets instead of chicken wings. Now that, my friend, that would be just not good.
I mix the two, get both in the same box.
But
there we go.
It's funny.
Definitely. Yeah, but we'll sort something out for the other show if you guys want to come on and just chat about anything.
Yeah.
Other than what we've spoke about tonight.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to put Nathaniel to work. You know that, right? I want to do a show like for real with this dude. I'm working on it. He's got to get on television shows.
He does.
Yeah, you know, it's something. It's frustrating. Like, I mean, my name is being passed out to some. I'll just be real with you guys. I don't buy into a lot of the surface research going on.
Me neither.
It bores me to tears. I've been to conferences and I ask a person a question. I'm a demonologist. What's the Nephilim? What's that? Deuces. I don't even want to be here. I don't. You know what I mean? You should. I mean, it's like okay. It's like asking a doctor, right? Like, what about this? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
No, you know, and so you know that's why I'm kind of getting burnt out on it. But my name is being passed around to different. I don't know where I fit. I don't know what I am. I study everything, so it's kind of like I don't know. So, but I appreciate Heidi's been working, like she said, she's been working really hard, and I really appreciate it.
Because we need you out there in the world where, I mean, that's just it. You don't fit into one category and you are creating a new pathway. So that's why you're so needed. So stay out there because hello, that's where I live is in the non-fitting.
Right.
You know, that's good people
that's
there.
Okay. Yeah. I honestly, I would rather hang out with those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And dude, it's good company. It's good company. It's a lot better than this really shallow, like the shallow conversations I've had, where this is who I was mentored by. I don't care. What do you know? Right? I could care less. Right? I mean, it's like, oh, I don't want to harp on it, but that's what kind of got my stomach turning. And Heidi knows this because we've talked for years about this. Where it's just like, dude, if it's not good research, if it's just stuff to pump out ratings and stuff, it's just not me. And so I think that's why, you know, I'm less marketable because I don't fit the blueprint of what they want.
Yeah.
Now, if they were making a chicken wing commercial,
Mr. Chick-fil-A himself.
Yeah.
That's what makes him so perfect, though. It's like, you know, if he's on it, he's going to be honest. You know?
Yeah.
That should be a slogan. If Nathaniel's on it, it's honest.
There you go.
You can pay me with that slogan later. But yeah, I mean,
I'll put it on a shirt.
There you go. Because it is so needed, and it's like also to highlight the more positive. And it's true, you know, we cover the dark and the light, but people only want to hear about the dark mostly. So it was nice to have some Jesus questions from your listener. That's
definitely.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, this is why I like being on this side because I don't claim to know anything about anything. I know what encounters I've had. I know what I've seen. I know what happened. And like you guys with your, not just you two, but all the other guests that have been on, what their experiences they've had and what accounts they've been given from other witnesses. It's just a collective of everything. So it's like, well, a lot of people rhyme off a load of names, and a lot of the time, I don't know who you're talking about. I might have heard of the name, but then there's quite a lot that I do know, who I do follow and like read their research and what have you. But I don't claim to know anything about the paranormal. I go out, I investigate, I see stuff, and I ask other people what's happened with them, and that's it.
Yeah, there you.
That's
cool.
That's good. I'll tell you what, to be honest with you, that's more research than some people I know have done.
Well,
that's true. That's true.
It's bad, man. It's so bad out there.
Andy, you got to do us a favor, though. You got to freeze frame whatever flew past Nathaniel and blow it up and send it to us.
I've made a note of the timestamp.
Did you?
Someone said 28 minutes, but it's 26 on the live count. So I'll check both times.
Cool.
If you want to stay in the group that we're in, and can put it on there, I'll get it done in the next hour or so. But the first time Nathaniel was on, I know you guys got to go, but in the intro that I've got, you hear a voice go, 4 times. It's like a whisper. Go, you know.
Ooh.
That was when I was interviewing Nathaniel the very first time, and I was asking about life on other realms other than Earth.
Wow.
And we worked it out that it came from my microphone. So it came from my end.
Oh.
That kind of didn't sleep very well that night. So I just took that second long. So I just took that piece and thought, I'm going to use it in the intro.
Wow.
Wow.
That's disturbing.
Yeah. I did a show with Dark Horse Paranormal years ago, and I was talking about the Moulters, and on their audio, specifically in Kristen's headphones, one being was talking to another being. Wait until they can hear us, and then once we start doing the show, they began to call me every name in the book.
Oh,
wow.
Oh my God, it was very interesting. But yep, I'm gonna go get some. We have what's called Huey Magoo's over here in Ohio, and I'm gonna go get me some chicken.
Nice.
Yay. Right, before you do go, I've just got a little, very, very short story. When Chris Reinhardt was on a few weeks ago, he has a sound gate for his microphone. So his studio's in his basement. It was just before we went live. He went out to use the bathroom. He was gone, and I heard somebody from his studio in his microphone say, "Are you all right?"
Ooh.
And it wasn't recording. It was clear as day.
Wow.
And he's like, "Did you get it on?
Class A.
Did you get it on like EVP or on recorder?" Nothing.
Man.
Nothing at all.
I'll tell you something really quick too. My phone, I get a voice that likes to talk to people that are speaking to me. And one warned me about going to a national park that I was going to be grabbed by a Bigfoot. Told the person, it was a television producer on the other line. It's like, what was that? And I'm like, what? And told me, tell her don't go. And it was like really kind of crackly, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
So it would give warnings and to tell people to tell me stuff. And it still happens. It's the wildest thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Very strange.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I think between the three of us, we do a little TV show or something.
Yeah, I think
just
so.
some EVPs.
Serious. Oh my God.
No
right.
kidding.
This is a blast.
I'll let you guys go because I know you've got chicken to eat and
I gotta get back to my patients.
Yeah.
I have a patient waiting for me.
Locked him in the room. Still holding the breath.
No.
2 hours later.
Oh Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Right. So I'll let you guys go. I'll finish
guys.
off here because I need to do an update for the guest next Friday. Massive thank you for you both coming on. Really do appreciate it. I'll get that freeze frame. I'll send you. I'll see how many frames I can get it on. So there might be 2 or 3 images in it, and then let me know what you think.
Awesome. Cool.
Excellent. So I'll be in touch about the other podcast.
Good, guys.
Awesome.
So,
you guys take care. Thanks for having me.
Have a great
you all.
weekend.
Love you
I'll
guys.
see ya.
See you later.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Right, so sorry, 1 second. Right, thank you all in the chat for your questions. Glad you like Heidi and Nathanial. So I really do appreciate you coming in. I would just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's now subscribing on podcast. That's getting more and more downloads each week. So thank you. The update for next week is the lad that's coming on. He goes by the name I Talk Cryptids. His name's Harry Smith. Now he's only 16. So we do need to keep the chat clean and relevant to what he's going to be talking about. His parents are going to be there as well, just as like a safeguard. And I'm going to making the on YouTube. You can choose whether it's for kids or not. So I'm kind of doing it a little bit different. So I'm going to make this suitable for kids to watch. With him only being 16, I'm hoping he's going to be, I suppose, aiming for the younger crowd to get them into this sort of topic without freaking everyone out. So please keep the language down. Otherwise, the messages will be removed or I will have to time you out. But that's only because of how YouTube works and it's not fair. So, yeah. So he's on next Friday. Sorry, 1 sec. Harry Smith. Then there's nothing the week after because I'm away and having a chill. And then the week after that, we've got Joe Hickley Hall coming on, and she's going to be talking about anything and everything to do with fairies and fairy folklore. So that's it. And then the following Wednesday is me and Chris doing a TV review on Helio. Yeah, so please do keep it clean and kid friendly next Friday. Really would appreciate it. So thank you everyone again. Thank you everyone on the podcast. And anyone got any images or videos for Eyes Only, please email them to me. Don't send them on Messenger because they end up getting lost. With the emails, I can filter through them. It's just a lot easier and I can do it direct on the computer. So saying that, have an amazing weekend, everyone. And I will see you next week. Take care and goodbye.